months before the storm. On the morning of September 1st, 1939, the German army crossed the Polish border. Using blitzkrieg, the lightning war strategy, they struck fast, hard, and without warning. It was the beginning of a new era of violence. A secret deal with the Soviet Union, the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, had divided Poland in two. On September 3rd, Britain and France declared war on Germany. World War II had begun. The early months saw little action, a period known as the Phony War. Then came the invasions of Denmark and Norway in the spring of 1940. In May and June, German forces quickly overran Belgium, the Netherlands, and France. The Western Front collapsed. In the summer of 1941, Operation Barbarossa began. Germany turned east and launched a massive invasion of the Soviet Union. Vast territories were captured, but Soviet resistance was fierce. The winter was brutal. The front was unrelenting. In December 1941, Japan attacked Pearl Harbor. The United States entered the war, and just days later, Germany declared war on the US. The Holocaust expanded. In January 1942, at the Wannsee Conference, the final solution was formalized. Mass extermination of the Jewish people was now official Nazi policy. Ghettos, cattle cars, gas chambers, death camps. Europe was falling into darkness. In the Pacific, the tide turned at the Battle of Midway. In North Africa, Allied forces began pushing back. Nazi power was weakening. 1942 to 1943 marked a turning point. In January 1943, German forces surrendered at Stalingrad. It was a devastating blow. Soon after came the Battle of Kursk, another heavy loss. Meanwhile, in the south, the Allies invaded Sicily. Mussolini was overthrown. Italy surrendered. Hitler's influence in southern Europe was slipping away. In June 1944, the Allies launched the Normandy landings. D-Day had arrived. Thousands of ships, planes, and paratroopers filled the skies and beaches of France. It was the beginning of the end. Paris was liberated. The German army retreated. In December, Hitler launched one final counterattack in the Ardennes. The Battle of the Bulge. It failed. The Soviets pushed west, through Poland, towards Berlin. On January 27th, 1945, Soviet troops liberated Auschwitz. The full horror of the Holocaust was exposed. By April 1945, Berlin was surrounded. Hitler, secluded in his bunker beneath the city, refused to face reality. On the morning of April 30th, he took his own life. Germany surrendered on May 7th in Reims, and again on May 8th in Berlin. In Europe, the war was over, but in the Pacific, it continued. On August 6th, 1945, an atomic bomb was dropped on Hiroshima. 3 days later, another on Nagasaki. On September 2nd, Japan officially surrendered. World War II had ended. What came next was judgment, the Nuremberg trials, justice, truth, responsibility. Europe was reshaped, and the world entered a new era. The Cold War had begun. Breathe deeply. Let the silence return. Let memory speak louder than words. And never forget what humanity is capable of when hatred goes unchecked